All right, so here's part 2 of the 6.5 Grendel heavyweight series. We're missing a bullet today. It's a 124 grain hammer hunter. Unfortunately, I shot the rest of those that I had in the last test. But in this test, we've got the 125 grain Nosler Partition, 129 grain Hornady SST, 130 grain Federal Terminal Ascent, 130 grain Swift Sirocco, and the 140 grain Spear Gold Dot. Some of these bullets performed okay at 400, some of them did not, but we're going to do some close range shooting and see how these bullets do. When we're out here, out in the field hunting, there may be a wide array of different circumstances, different distances at which we might shoot. Some may be long range, some may be short range. And so we already know how these do at long range. Now we're going to see how they do at short range. And the goal is to find a bullet that fits our particular application. I hunt out west here in Colorado for the most part, and most of my shots are well within 400 yards. Most aren't really past 300 yards. However, it's good to know what our bullet's limitations are. If a bullet performs well at long range but not at short range, that might be something for us to think about when we're going hunting. If we're out east, maybe our shots are within close distance, and the bullets that performed well at 400 yards may not work well for you at 50 yards. And so we're on a quest to find the ultimate 6.5 Grendel, maybe the most versatile 6.5 Grendel hunting bullet. And tune in for part 2. So I had to hurry up and shoot these heavy bullets. I was trying to get as much use out of the barrel as I could, and so I was using the same barrel that I did my other video with the light bullets on, and I was trying to get everything shot before the water ran out. Looks like our lid cracked around there, and we'll pull these bullets out and test it out. Okay, so we got done with our heavy bullets, and here's the 125 grain Nosler Partition. We had separation. How do I know it's a partition? Well, look, you can see the partition in there where it goes back to solid copper, and then we have a lead core again. The bullet will never expand past that. But as you can see, textbook performance by the Nosler Partition. It did extremely well. Next up was the 129 grain SST. As we can see, we had massive expansion, very little of the bullet left, very little weight retention, jacket core separation, which is to be expected by a non-bonded bullet. But for the most part, this bullet came apart, and I was not real impressed with this SST. Although it did well at 400, for me and the applications that I use my rifle for, this is not the bullet. Next up is the 130 grain Swift Sirocco, and my goodness, look at that. Textbook expansion, awesome. It's a deep penetrating bullet, near 100% weight retention, and expanded very large, and awesome performance. As we saw at 400 yards, this bullet did not expand. I've done testing at 300, and it does at 300, and for me, if I'm going after an elk with my 6.5 Grendel or some other maybe heavier skinned animals, this would be at the top of my bucket list. But you got to keep in mind, this bullet has its limitations. Next up is the 130 grain Federal Terminal Ascent. As we can see, very similar expansion to the Swift Sirocco. Just awesome mushroom, awesome expansion. This is another very deep penetrating bullet. I have seen this used on elk, and it worked very well. We did not recover the bullet, and the elk went down quickly. Very impressed by this bullet. This bullet not only performed extremely well at 50 yards, but it also performed extremely well at 400 yards. This is one of the most versatile bullets that I know of on the market. And last but not least, the 140 grain Speer Gold Dot. My goodness. Again, what more could you ask for from a bullet? Almost identical performance to the 120 grain Speer Gold Dot. The only way I was able to tell the difference is because the shank on this one is longer than the 120 Speer Gold Dot. But as you can see, amazing expansion. This is another deep penetrating bullet. And overall, with the exception of the SST, all the heavyweight bullets that I use would be awesome on medium to maybe a little thicker skin game for the 6.5 Grendel. Again, it's just a 6.5 Grendel. I'm not saying it's the ideal elk cartridge because I know it isn't, but the 125 grain partition, 130 grain Swift, 130 grain terminal ascent, and the 140 grain Gold Dot out of the 6.5 Grendel within moderate ranges, I would say 250 yards, are amazing bullets for heavier skin game. Larger deer, big hogs, maybe elk if you choose to use it, and all those bullets will perform very well. Tell me in the comments what your thoughts are, how these bullets performed. And again, if there's any bullets you'd like to see me test, I will leave my email address down in the description below, and shoot me an email if you'd like to send me some bullets to try out. And please feel free to comment, let me know what you think, and let me know if there's something else you would like to see me test. And hope you all do well. Take care.